Hello, Joan. Scrouse here. Hope this isn't boring you. This is probably faster than writing. I don't know how quickly you read. Being a scholar, probably faster than me, which is slow. I have a question. I have many questions. Let me tell you a story. I started this journey into Andean mysticism because it appeared on a schedule in an ayahuasca community that I was part of. And I started that journey because I wanted to cure depression. And so I heard psilocybin did that, and I found a guy who administered psilocybin in Salt Lake City. Also Bufo. I did both. My adoptive mother saw me when I returned and was like, I'm going! She's 76. So I went with her, and she paid for a second time for me. And the point is that after Bufo, in that second trip to Salt Lake City, I heard 4 sharp raps one night. It woke me up, It startled me. I thought somebody was in the room, and nobody was in the room. And this was at dawn, right before dawn. And I just thought, I'm awake now. So I got up and I went to a park. And in the park, under the mountains, I asked a tree. It sounds so ridiculous. I'm sorry. This sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous and moronic because it's something. It's a synchronicity that happened to me, and therefore it's not meaningful to you. But please bear with me. So I asked this tree, "What am I? What am I doing? Who am I?" And the tree said, "You're the guy who loves everybody." And I'm like, "Okay, great." I get in a car. You're the guy who loves everybody. The next day, I'm back in Kenosha, where my adoptive mother lives, and staying overnight at her boutique. And dawn, 4 sharp raps. And I get up. I'm like, what? Somebody in the room? Nobody's in the room. I'm like, well, I'm awake. So I went downstairs and I don't know, I just put on some music and I danced, and I realized, oh, dancing can cure depression. Fascinating. The next day, I'm back home in Milwaukee, and at dawn, 4 sharp raps on my door. Is somebody in the house? Is anybody in my... I was living in a church at the time. It's not haunted, by the way. Nobody there. I'm alone. Dawn. What do? I just got up and I went to Lake Michigan, which was just a few blocks from my house. And I'm thinking, did I just waste a lot of money? It was very expensive, this Salt Lake City trip. Did I waste a lot of money for nothing? What's the word? Fraudulated? That's not the word. Was I fraudulated? And I looked down, and in the sand, right at my feet, as I'm thinking this, is the Japanese hiragana for no, which is similar to the @ sign. It doesn't mean no in Japanese. It's a syllable. But through puntasticism, it was no. So, the next day, again, 4 sharp raps on my door. And I'm like, all right, I've had it. I just rolled over and went to bed. I never heard them again. Until recently, actually. It happened again. I don't remember the context. It's probably in a journal, 4 sharp raps at dawn. I am reading a book by your rival, Elizabeth B. Jenkins. I don't know if she's really your rival. But I'm reading this book, and in the book, she talks about the Paco that she was seeing that was calling the Apus, and he wanted help because it's tiring because, you're the Paco, and at any time of night, the Apus wake you up and say, go to so-and-so and do a healing. My question is, was that the Apu of the mountain of Salt Lake City waking me up every morning? And, did I block something by not attending to that 4th wake-up? Something else, too. I guess I'll have to make another video to ask you that question, or maybe I'll even just write it. So the reason I am inquiring about your services for coaching is because I'm totally drifting. All I wanted to be since middle school was a cartoonist, so I went to art school, and that just blew everything apart, and in a bad way. At the time, it seemed good. I discovered James Joyce and painting. But that just turned my writing into experimental crap, and The painting was a distraction for drawing and writing and comics, and now when I sit down to do a comic, I can't even sit down to do a comic. I just avoid it at all costs. I'll take 6 naps in a row before I sit down and draw comics. And I think the reason has to do with ADD. I don't even know. I'll write the comic, and then I just don't want to take the written thing and turn it into a finished thing. I don't want to do it over. That's punishment. Doing it over is punishment. Wow, I never thought of it like that before. Anyway, I don't know how to get past that issue. So I'm totally adrift. The Apu maybe was calling me, and I at one point refused. The other thing was, so the character in this book, Elizabeth B. Jenkins, your rival, should that prove to be true, I don't know. It's up to you. I mean, I don't recommend having rivals. No, actually, I love having rivals. I think Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra was hilarious, and it can be done hilariously. Anyway, that's probably not even true. She says, I just forgot again. Talking about rivals made me forget. Oh, yeah, okay, so she at one point says, I was mocked all my life for being imaginative and intuitive and blah, 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 and daydreaming. And I was as well. In fact, when this mystical tradition came to me in the ayahuasca community, Don Luis and Don Mariano came to the Chicago area and administered there. And this has to do with imagination. I had always assumed that daydreaming was just a waste of time. It was beneath dreaming in the hierarchy of mental states. They did one of the rites for Pleiades, and I went into a daydream about Hurricane Alicia, and I lived through that. And incidentally, there was a woman there who flew up from Houston, who had also been in Hurricane Alicia as a child. And so anyway, Don Luis asked me if I had anything to share, and I shared this daydream that I had about Hurricane Alicia and how the trees were trying to kill me. This is animism that I'm projecting onto the past. I didn't think of it that way at the time. So the trees were trying to kill me. There was a tree that fell down right down our street, lengthwise, not touching any house. This thing was gigantic. It was wider than your coffee table was long. And there was another tree in our yard that... Okay, so this is the daydream of remembering my dad telling us, okay, when you hear the tree start to break, run into our bedroom. That's the farthest away from this tree, because there was an old tree behind the kitchen in our house, which a lightning hit that year, and it sounded like a bomb. I was in the kitchen. I ran out of the room just on autopilot. I think it's one loud bang, like a bomb. It wasn't like thunder. But that was a different storm. So this is Hurricane Alicia, and I start to hear cracking of the tree breaking, and I run into my dad's bedroom, and a limb falls off of a different tree. It comes down, and it slices the screen on the window. Doesn't touch the glass. And right as I run into the room, I see this happening. So 3 trees tried to kill me, and they didn't. And in the eye of the storm, my dad gets in the car, and he goes for a joyride in Hurricane Alicia around downtown Houston. So I tell this story about... I don't think I told them about the trees trying to kill me, but just my dad, the screen, and his joyride. And Don Mariano says, this vision signifies that this issue has been taken away and blown away in the wind of the hurricane. And it blew my mind, and I started weeping because I always thought it was impossible for me to have visions, and the idea of a daydream being a vision was something I just had always immediately discounted. It just couldn't be that way, right? It's just a daydream. It's not a vision. Maybe I should have just written this down. Anyway, do you have any thoughts? Also, if you do have thoughts, and this is something that you think could be extensive and you could earn some money at, please, let's set that up, because I don't want to waste your time. And already I see that I've been filming for over 10 minutes, and you'll receive the edited version. But even that might be a waste of your time. I mean, watching my face talk, I can't imagine anything more wasteful. I mean, even the prodigal son was less wasteful than what you just did watching my face talk. I'm sorry. I'm not judging you.